Well, hello, sports fans, and welcome back to Sports on the Spot. My name is Willie Charger, and today our show is going to be a little bit different in that Nick and Ronnie are both on assignment. But not to worry, Lenny is filling in, and he's going to provide us with his expert commentary. Lenny, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the sports world over the weekend. What was the big headline that you could take away looking back on this past weekend?
Well, we might have different ideas about what the biggest headline is, but I saw one in all caps, and it really caught my eye. It was the following: coaches must get boosters. Well, I found that pretty interesting because I didn't actually read the article, but look, in sports, booster means booster club, which exists to support a team, not a coach. So I'm a bit puzzled. It's like, why would a coach need his own booster club when the team has one? And then when they say they must get boosted, well, I question that, because should a coach not do his or her best regardless of whether there are boosters or not?
That's a good question. Something maybe somebody should look into a little bit more deeply. For me, it was naming of Bryce Young as the Heisman Trophy winner for this year. Alabama quarterback, only a sophomore, first quarterback in Alabama history to win the Heisman Award. And he does have some local connections. Went to Mater Dei High School down in LA. Wanted to quickly throw in my NBA top five while we have a chance. Golden State remains the top team, 20 wins, 4 losses, with Phoenix right on its heels, 20-4, close behind. Number 3 team, I got the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant and, of course, James Harden. Chicago doing really good. They got some COVID issues, but they're number 4. The Bulls number 4, and then at 5, I got the Utah Jazz. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back and talk some more sports. Okay, we are back. And Lenny, I wanted to spend some time talking about the NFL games over this past weekend. It seems like the teams that are at the top remain at the top. Brady and Tampa Bay crushed the Bills in overtime. Of course, in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers led the Packers to an impressive win over the Bears. Both Green Bay and Tampa Bay, I think, are at the top of the NFC. The San Francisco stayed in the race by beating the Bengals. They're a wild card team. And, of course, the Rams, very impressive in defeating Arizona. Over in the AFC, though, I wanted to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers. They won their second straight game, beating the New York Giants. It was one of those games where you really didn't have to worry about the outcome. The Chargers pretty much jumped on top early. They were up 28-7 halftime, something like that, and cruised to an easy win. It was all about Justin Herbert. 3 more touchdown passes. Lenny, he's got 60 touchdown passes in only 2 seasons. Only one NFL player in history has more. And of course, that's the great Dan Marino. It was a complete victory, team win for the Chargers. Offensively, defensively, special teams, they did it all. And of course, I hope they keep it up because they got the big showdown with Kansas City coming up. Lenny, which team stood out for you over the weekend?
Yeah, there's definitely going on. You named some of them, but I went on the internet and I learned there were a lot of games over the weekend. But I'll tell you one that caught my eye for sure was the Seahawks-Texans game. And the reason is because I was actually there in Houston in person for the game. So, yeah, well, technically I wasn't at the game. I was in the airport on a layover. But it was still exciting being so close. And now the layover wasn't exciting. It was supposed to be like a 3.5-hour layover. And it ended up being more like 6 because there were some mechanical issues with the plane. And we ended up having to switch planes. But interestingly, I ended up watching a different Texas-based NFL game in the bar, which was the Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington, can't remember the name of their football team. But so got a lot of football in there.
Well, interesting. I'm glad you mentioned the Washington football team because, believe it or not, even though they've only won 6 games, they're still in the running for the NFC playoffs. Wanted to run down the NFL playoff picture right now. I mentioned Washington, the 3rd seed in the NFC. San Francisco hanging in there, number 2 wild card, and of course the Rams, number 1 wild card. So those 3 teams are The NFC wildcards at the top of the NFC, you have Green Bay, Tampa Bay, they're both 10-3. Arizona, the number 3 seed at 10-3, and Dallas 9-4, the other team that you have a connection with there, Lenny. Of course, in the AFC, the Patriots still number 1 at 9-4, Tennessee number 2 at 9-4, Kansas City the number 3 team. Baltimore slipped a little bit. They're now number 4 at 8-5. The Chargers, the number 1 wild card, they're at 8-5, followed by the Colts and Buffalo. So those are the teams that are currently in the race. Lenny, if you look at this playoff picture, which team do you think is going to make it all the way to the Super Bowl?
Good question. That's a tough one. I'll tell you what, I've always been a fan of underdogs, and right now I'm looking at Saints and the Texans. I mentioned the Texans before. Now I'll tell you what, it would be really exciting to see a come from behind run with either of those teams. I think the only thing that can really stop them is it's mathematically impossible for both teams.
Interesting. That's a different perspective that I haven't heard before. So thanks for that. I know that you have some more to add on quite a different sport in your Lenny Lowdown. So I'll give you a chance to take it away, Lenny.
Well, this time of year, there's a lot going on in sports. We got NFL, we got NBA, and so forth. But I know what most of you are looking at right now and have the most interested in is darts. Why? Well, this week marks the beginning of the 2021 World Dart Championships being held in London, England. You may not know that I'm a semi-pro dart player myself. That's why I'm wearing dart playing attire right now, and you can see the name of my potential sponsor, Pearl Izumi, sporting good manufacturer. And I may very well be on a plane headed for England tomorrow, should I get the call, and I'm waiting for that right now. In the meantime, I thought it might be kind of fun showing you a little bit about how the game is played. I'm going to show you 3 very fundamental things, but very important. The first is called the grip. Then there's the throw and release. The grip is super important because if you're not holding on to the dart, it's just going to fall to the ground. Of course, that's not going to lead to good things. The second is the throw. That propels the dart to the board. Obviously, that's important. And then the release. If there's no release, it's still just in your hand. Again, doesn't meet the objective. Now, the rules of the game are quite complex, but just for illustrative purposes, I'm just going to throw some bullseyes and show you how this all works. So I've got my grip, holding onto the dart. Now I'm going to do my throw and release. 3 darts. Dart 1. Dart 2, and dart 3. Three double bulls. Not bad, eh? Look, I can't guarantee you similar results. You're probably not an elite athlete like me. But if you practice these things over and over again, while you might not win a tournament in England, and you might not even win any money in a local pub, it does reduce your chances of putting out a friend's eye. And that is no bull.
Okay, Lenny, well, thanks for that. We never cover the dart world, and I think it was appropriate that you spend some time talking about the World Championships taking place. What's your connection with darts, Lenny?
Well, multiple connections. I mentioned in my lowdown, which was obviously, I recorded that yesterday here in the studio. But since then, I wanted to update you. I have, I never did get the call to participate in the London tournament. I've been having some problems with my phone, or it might be on Do Not Disturb or something like that. But it's interesting to see what's unfolding there already in London. The world champ, Gerwin Price, aka the Iceman, is going to be defending his championship status. What's interesting about that to me, Willie, is that his nickname, the Iceman, well, as it turns out last night, I, by pure coincidence, watched the original Top Gun movie, and you might remember Val Kilmer's character was, his tag line or name or whatever was Iceman. So do you plan to watch the new Top Gun Maverick when it comes out in May of 2022, Willie?
Oh, it's definitely on my must-do list. So thanks for bringing that to my
Tom
attention.
Cruise, he's aged pretty well. I'm not so sure about Val Kilmer, but we'll still might be a good movie. It's going to be in theaters first, I understand, before it's done on streaming. So you did ask, though, about my other connections. I think most of our viewers are not going to know that, well, you and I have a connection in common. We're both alumni of UC Santa Barbara. And back in our college days, a few years back, we were both in the same league, right?
You're right, Lenny. That was the Santa Barbara Dart Association a long time ago. Many, many fun nights playing darts and drinking a lot of beer, which is what really attracted me to the sports in the first place. It's one of those sports where you can really, really be competitive, but yet get a little lightheaded at the same time. The thing about darts, though, there were some situations that did arise because some of the opponents simply didn't know basic mathematics. Now, you and I know that if somebody hits 3 19s, that's 57 points. And if there were 97 points left in the game, in a 301 game, that's 40 points left. And all you have to do is hit a double 20, 40, you're out of the game, and you win. Well, that happened one night, and there was this fellow who really didn't think that our subtraction was too good. And he basically said that we were cheaters. Well, one thing led to another, but we eventually were all escorted out of Duffy's. So there were some mathematical issues that sometimes come up.
Well, one way to solve that, though, was to, instead of playing 501 or 301, where you have to do all that subtraction and everything, you just play cricket, and the scorekeeping is a little easier. So I was gravitated towards that, even though I am a math whiz.
Well, 301 was a man's game as far as darts are concerned, and we thought we were pretty good. And one time, I don't know if you were with us, we decided that we were going to go down to the Queen Mary in Long Beach and compete in this big tournament. Well, we drove down about 3 hours. We waited for about 4 hours for our match to begin. It was a single elimination match, and we played this team that was pretty good, lasted about 5 minutes. This guy got out in about 9 darts, and we were out of the tournament. Drive 3 hours back to Santa Barbara. So basically, 9 hours of the day just to play 5 minutes of dart. But it was a real wake-up call. It showed us just how bad we really were. But
well, you're not as bad as you think, probably. Hey, it's fun reminiscing about these old times, though, because we both played a lot of darts. And I remember in the Santa Barbara Dart League, there was a scandal, at least on our team, about performance enhancing drugs, which is a big thing now. It wasn't so much back then. We didn't think of them as performance enhancing so much as maybe performance detracting, but this is just a rumor, and I don't really know anything about it. I just heard that.
They make a big deal out of it now, but back in the day, no. Well, we could talk darts all night, but we are now running out of time. We have to take a little break here, so we will be right back.
Well, I do have all night to talk about darts, but maybe another night would be better. So, we always love interacting with our viewers. And so this is the part of the program where we field a question from a viewer. And this time, out of the huge mailbag of questions, we selected one from Loston Baker. Interesting. For those of you who haven't been to Baker, it's in the desert. And it's home of the world's largest thermometer. Just a little bit of sports trivia there for you. So Loston Baker's question is, given the mediocre record of the Lakers, is it time to shake things up and make some trades? What do you say, Willie?
Oh, I don't know where to start with the Lakers. Yes, they are mediocre. They had high expectations coming into the season with the addition of Russ Westbrook, along with Davis and of course, LeBron. They were going to be the big three that was going to take them all the way to the top. Things haven't worked out, but I don't think it's time for a shakeup. Things just have not gone wrong for them. LeBron, as most know, missed half the games due to injury. Anthony Davis has been out also due to injury. Just earlier today, it turns out that THT, Taylor Horton-Tucker, COVID-19 health and safety protocol, he'll be out for 10 days. So it seems like they haven't been able to keep their team on the court. So I don't think it's time for trades. They just have to get their act together and start playing Laker ball.
Yeah, I think you're probably getting a little more into the weeds than you really need to. Look at the 10,000 foot level. Here's the problem: they're not making enough baskets compared to their opponents. And if they can solve that problem, they'll go a long way towards, the problems they're suffering with right now. But let me tell you what, when you talk about them making some trades, here's what they ought to trade. When the Lakers moved from Minneapolis, St. Paul in 1957, that they kept the name Lakers. It doesn't even make sense. LA has very few lakes. Most of them are just small reservoirs. And so then to keep the name of an NBA team after lakes that don't really even exist in that region just doesn't make any sense. So I think if they changed the name to something more LA-ish, the Palms or something like that, I think that would give them a boost.
I don't know if that's going to fly, but we'll talk to Jeannie Bus about that. Anyway, we are out of time, and I wanted to thank Lenny for sitting in today and helping us get through today's show. Also to thank the viewers for watching and reminding everybody to like, comment, subscribe to the show if they have a chance. Any Sports on the Spot questions can be submitted to the sportsonthespot@gmail.com, or just ask the question in the comment section of our YouTube channel. Again, that's going to be it for today's show. Thanks a lot, Lenny. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Unbelievable.